how can you create a mysterious subject interview?
Like this. So the first thing is you want to find the right background, because if you are trying to keep somebody's identity hidden, you obviously don't want to put a background that says, hey, this is who I am actually, even though you can't see my face, this is exactly who I am and what I'm all about. So you want it to be a little bit more simplified. Either it's just a blank wall, something that makes a little bit more sense that you can't necessarily know who the person is. Now, traditionally, we'll go ahead and get our key light, fill light, all that stuff set up so that way we can see our subject. But obviously, since the idea is to not see them, we want to make sure to not get any light onto them, but to instead light the background so that way then the background can be correctly exposed and our subject can be underexposed. So the biggest thing you want to do is get the light behind the subject. Now, depending if they're standing, sitting, the size of your room, you may not be able to get the light directly behind them. So if you do have to get it off to the side, just try to angle it away. That way, then it's just lighting up the background. And if there's any light spilling onto your subject, because sometimes a little spill light is, I think, fine, but depending how secret you want it to be or how mysterious you want it to appear, you may want to avoid any spill light. So what you can do is you can get a flag to kind of help block the light, or even just grab regular black construction paper, tape it around the light so that way then any of that light spill that is falling to the object can be cut off and stopped. Next is a hair light. Now, traditionally in these videos, you may not need a hair light because obviously the separation is your subject's completely dark and the background behind them is lit. Sometimes I like to add in a hair light as well, just because it kind of creates a little bit more separation, especially since in this setup with the background, I did have a physical light there as well. So if you do have like a window light, a practical light in the background, I think it's okay to have that hair light, but again, it all depends on how much you want to show of your subject. If you want to show more, if you want to show less. Now, there are other ways to hide the identity of your subject. It's not just with the lighting. You could also have them turn away from the camera, like this. You could also keep them out of focus. That way, then you can't see key details and they're a little bit more of a blur. Or you can just focus on a part of their body, such as maybe their eye, their mouth, their hands, similar to what we've got here. Oh, wait, do I have something on my teeth? No, we're good. I had a chalupa this morning. So once we have our mysterious interview completed, we can then bring into our editing software of choice. In this case, I'm using Adobe Premiere, but the editing in this is universal. We can look at our shot, we can look at it and go, hey, this is pretty good, I'm happy with it. Now we can go ahead and update the exposure, light of the background, like I've done here. So that way then we just get a little bit more detail back there. You just want to be careful to make sure you're not obviously bringing up enough that then we could see detail in our subject's face, depending how much post-editing work you had to do to bring down the shadows. Where in this case, it was shot where the subject there was no detail already, and you won't be able to bring back what was never there. So just like in this shot, and we could see that I was maybe a little further back, maybe angled a little bit more, that I have a little bit more light spill on me. Now this still looks good. You still can't tell really who it is, me. But if we do want to adjust it and make it just a little bit darker so that way then we hide more of that detail on the side of my face that we could see right here, something we could do is go ahead and just drop down the exposure, maybe bring down the highlights, bring down the shadows, bring down the blacks. But the only problem with that is now you're adjusting everything in the background as well. So even though we were able to adjust our overall shot, we then adjusted everything in the background as well. So now we can see that the blacks have been really pushed, that we are now starting to see artifacting. And so what can we do though if we still want to hide our subject a little bit more? Well, something we can do is we can go ahead and create a mask to then hide our subject. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead to our effects tab. We'll grab another Lumetri color tab, bring it on here. So that way that doesn't affect with our original LUT, or you can grab an adjustment layer, put it onto the overall clip. So we'll go ahead and create a mask where we can bring around our subject. Boom. We just want a little bit right there. Okay, beautiful. So now from here, we can go ahead and then now bring down our exposure, bring down our shadows, bring down our blacks, and perfect. We are all set. The subject, I'd say, is a lot more hidden. We don't know who this freaking guy is. I sure don't. And we click away and we got a circle around us because the mask is right now only a 10% feather, so it's going to be very, very sharp edges. So something we can do with that is just to increase the mask feather. Now, it depends how much you're pushing the colors. If it's just slight, you may not need to push the mask as far, that we're seeing still like It's probably obviously a mask around there. So you may need to bump the mask more and further up. Now, if you go, I don't like how far it's going, you can always then adjust the mask expansion to bring it in a little bit tighter so that way it's not traveling as far. But obviously we still want to make sure that our subject is still as hidden as possible. So that's how you can touch up your mysterious interview just a little bit more with some editing. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below, and you have a good one. Bye. Long time no see. Hey, so I realized I talked about how to make you visually anonymous, but I didn't say, hey, how do you audibly do it? So, I mean, somebody will watch the video going, I really don't know who that is, but it sounds like Craig. Hold on a second. I think that is Craig. So how can we make the voice anonymous as well? So we'll go to our effects tab. We'll grab pitch shifter, bring it onto our audio clip. Then we'll go to custom setup, hit edit, and then we'll adjust the semitones. By bringing it down, it will adjust it more and be more of a deeper voice, where if we bring it up, it's going to sound more like that chipmunk voice, higher pitched. And let me just play it so you get an audible of what it is.
How can I create a mysterious subject interview?
How can you create a mysterious...
That'd be annoying. So you want to find a right balance where it changes the pitch of your voice so it's not totally like, hey, that's Craig, but also we don't want it to be so much that it's annoying or a point where nobody wants to listen to it. So just keep that in mind as well. So hopefully this helps. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. And don't forget to subscribe because I'd appreciate that. Perfect. Bye now.